Someone in the comments was asking about advice for Neets. Now, if you don't know what a NEET is, it stands for no employment, no education, and no training, except for without the ends in between, hence the little abbreviation of NEET. Pretty clever. Well, they always are, aren't they? But I don't know if it was saying why it's called a NEET. You can guarantee that anybody who is a NEET is not going to have a neat room, are they? Just mum things. What I want to say to you people is that, first off, if you identify as a NEET, stop doing that. There is one thing that I agree with the whole transgender debate, which is that basically, yes, you do define your own identity if you're defining yourself as... Because what is that an abbreviation for? You could just sum it up into one word, can't you? Loser. If you identify yourself as a NEET, even in a joking way, what are you telling your brain? You're not worth anything. That abbreviation stands for, I have no value to society whatsoever. Why are you wearing that as a badge of honour? Let me tell you something about words. Pull up a chair, Shan. Being a dad to people that are my age, how did that work? So, what I want you to think, well, I suppose some of you are a bit younger than me. I could have had a kid at 5. What I want you to think about in this situation is that if you identify yourself as a NEET, you're telling your brain that you are a loser. Now, what is very impressive about the brain is, whatever you tell it to do, it will do. Isn't that incredible? That just by the very fact that every brain has evolved to just be a goal-seeking mechanism. So dogs, for instance, they're just going to go, hungry, want to go for a walk, sleep time now. That's their level of cognitive thinking, right? But because we have a developed prefrontal cortex, which is ending in destroying the planet, so... positive and negatives to everything, isn't there? But what we've been able to do as a result of that is determine our own goals and our own self-worth. Isn't that a trippy thought? That whatever social value you have, even if you don't have a job, even if you don't have any money, the only social value that you have is self-determined. Think about the ramifications of that. It means that if you're a loser, it's your own fault. Now, it's not necessarily your own fault in that you probably didn't know any of this stuff beforehand. It's just because I've read a lot of self-help books, I could impart the pearls of wisdom onto ye lazy cunt that can't be bothered to read and is watching this instead. You are... No wonder you're a NEET. You are not in the habit of reading, are you? Like, clearly, no education. But it is important for you to understand this point. That whatever social value you have is self-determined. It is because you have put into your head, I'm a champion. This is why a lot of douchebags get the bitches. Why is that? It's because douchebags, for no reason at all, even though douchebags more often than not don't have a job or they work in a surf shop, mad. Yeah, so what do you want? You want fiberglass? Yeah, fiberglass is the best one. Great service. That is... you know, a little easier to get in life than becoming a banker or a lawyer, but you will see bankers and lawyers, and I know them. Because I used to hang around those circles. I felt like killing myself, but I was with them. And the thing is, a lot of those people, actually, when you look at it, that they are self-hating people. The reason that they had this drive in life to get that education is because they thought, maybe if I'm making 6 figures a year, then maybe I can put my PP in one vag. That's all they were thinking. Just a nice little, oh, that's warm. That's warm and wet, yeah. That's why they went through 6 years of the most boring degree on earth to get to that point. So, but the other thing is that those douchebags banging heaps of hot bitches every night, and it's because in their head they have determined that they're a champ. It might be because of environmental factors, it might just be because they've hooked onto Buddhism and then thought, oh wow, this is a really easy way to get the mood. So, but the thing is that they in their head have determined that they are of huge social value. If you are saying you're a NEET, what is the implication of that? Now obviously this is where it gets into the nitty-gritty of it, because everybody's different definitions have a slightly different meaning in everybody's head. So I think a really good experiment of that is when you hook people's brains up to each other. It's very Alex Jonesy, isn't it? Then again, what about this channel isn't? But if you do that and then you say something like ice cream, or you picture ice cream in your head, actually it takes a while for somebody else's brain to go, is Is that an ice cream? Because everybody's imagery in their head of how they interpret words and what those words conjure in their mind is going to be different to everybody else's, right? But the general definition of a neat would suggest that you are of zero value, as in you are not worth anything to society, you are not a fun person to hang around, you are a complete dead shit. Why are you defining yourself like that? Answer that in your own time. Keep watching for now. And so, as a result of doing that, you are self-imprinting into your own brain that I am worthless, that I am an omega dog. I love that insult. How much better is that than beta? Because beta suggests somebody who's shit. But below betas, the ones that they get to pick on are omegas. But you are essentially saying that you're an omega in the pack. It doesn't matter. You can be an extremely short person like Napoleon and conquer countries, because that is how the human brain functions. It puts whatever value and whatever imagery that you have in your own mind into reality. Not instantly. It's not like the law of attraction in The Secret, where they say that I'm in a Mercedes-Benz and there it is, now I'm driving. But eventually it does work. I bet you're not amazed by that, but I am. That's what that pause was about. Because I have seen it happen in my own life. When I was young, and I learned about all of this, I started visualizing in my head pretty much exactly what I am now. Now, the format is different because I was imagining that I'd be on radio, because back then that was what was the big thing. But now radio, no one gives a shit about commercial radio, and now obviously the internet is where it's at. Kiddies. You get it, don't you? Do you know what a meme is? Anyway, so the format has changed, but the general view of what I had as myself is what I am now. And I would say that it's not, sometimes it does happen in a few months or a few weeks or whatever, but I would generally say that whatever image you hold in your head 10 years from now, you will more or less be that image. And so, having learned all of this stuff when I was about 19, now when I look back at it and I'm in my 10-year challenge, when I'm there now, I'm thinking, I should have aimed higher. I should have aimed higher. And that's what I'm in the process of now. I am reconstructing the image of what I want to be from my 30s to my 40s. But I think that you should think about yourself in that large long-term vision. The reason that China has been able to advance so rapidly, it was just a bunch of peasants that were just like, oh, such a bad teeth. That was them back then. Now, they still have awful teeth. They are the British people of Asians, but they are really rich now. And they are an economic powerhouse. They are becoming the new imperial overlord of the planet. And the reason they are is because instead of in the US, where constantly it's chopping and changing depending on which party gets in power, there's just one party in there, they're just like, a 50-year vision. The longer that you think into the future, the more likely and accurate it is that you are going to be doing that, because you are reminding yourself on a daily basis, this is who I am. And the point is that you want to be saying that. This is who I am. Every day that you are saying that you are a neat, you are wasting a day, because you are ingraining it further into your head that I am worthless. A really good phrase, and I've said it on this channel before, but I will say it again, because it needs to be drilled in, just like Neat does. If you say the word chariot, a chariot comes out of your mouth. Words are powerful. Now, the counter-argument to that is, why are you so sensitive, you cuck? But I think that we can all agree that somebody who is a powerful speaker is going to be a good leader. And that powerful speaker, this is why it's so important to expand your vocabulary, because if you are able to more precisely put into other people's minds the general image of what you want, and if your image is inspiring, you can move nations in that direction. You need to get good at defining it. And the first step, the absolute first step, is exactly what Jordan Peterson's talking about with his metaphor of clean your room. He's basically talking about the fact that you need to get your own life in order. That is the first step. Saying that you're a neat is doing the exact opposite of that. Whoa! Come on! It's trippy, right? That you are manifesting your own destiny. That you are in control of that. And if you're constantly saying, I have no education, no job, no employment, you are telling yourself that the future that you have is pointless. Is that motivating at all? This is the other thing that's amazing about putting these big visions into your head about your future, is it actually motivates you. It gets you up in the morning and thinks, I have a purpose. If you're getting up every day and saying, I've got nowhere to be and I'm useless, good luck getting somewhere. You're not going to be... Every day that I wake up, there's two things that come into my mind. The first thing is just, I am really grateful that I am alive, and in a day and age where it's easier than ever to impact the world. It's amazing. And climate change hasn't kicked in that much yet. You still go to all these amazing environmental landscapes. We are on one of the only habitable planets that we know of, and it's definitely the most habitable. Amazing. There's so many crap dead planets out there. I think I made that point before. But still, that's because that's the first thing that comes into my mind every day. I'm on planet Earth. Whoa. But the second thought is always, I'm running out of time. And the reason that I've got that constant thought in my head of I'm running out of time is because I have a big projected image of myself for the next 10 years of my life. That I'm going to be even more powerful, that I'm going to have even more influence in those 10 years. And it is because I am constantly tuning into my mind that I am worth something, and it has an ongoing impact on the rest of the world as well. If you keep telling yourself that you are worth something, people start believing it. Because if you walk into a room with somebody, and I see this all the time after shows, you can tell just by looking at someone, even before they open their mouth, if they're moving in a good direction. If somebody comes up to you and they're just like, what is the first thing that you think? Where's the mortine? I want to spray this insect out of existence. When somebody walks up to you and is just like, g'day mate, how you going? Lionel. What a fucking killer name. My name's Lionel, mate. I just met somebody like that and I thought, that's a potential Paul Keating. You know that when Paul Keating was young, I'm always using that guy. And I think the reason is because he's mad. Shut the hell up. I don't want to hear any criticisms about him privatising the Commonwealth Bank. He did more for you than you'll ever know. So, sorry to get angry at you, but and there was no reason to either, but what I'm saying about him is that at a very young age, teachers, his parents, adults around him, people in his church, they're all saying the same thing about him. That man's going to be Prime Minister one day. They were saying that at a young age, and it's because he had this aura around him himself of just impressive leadership. Intelligent, sharp, and it's because he believed it himself. If you listen to his pattern of language, he is not ashamed at all of talking about how much of a champ he is. You have to sell yourself in this world. And the way that you get to that stage is by convincing yourself first. And you might be sitting there thinking that, but I am a loser. Doesn't matter. That's what's so exciting about this, is that you won't be a loser if you change the image of who you are in your head. So if you describe yourself as a NEET, for the love of God, stop doing that. What I want you to do, this is your homework, and this is everybody's homework as well. I want you to define the type of person you want to be in 10 years' time. That's what I really like about that, is because it's got this very lofty long-term goal in it. And when you just say, right, so I'm going to have 7 mansions and 3 Mercedes-Benz. No, 4. I earn it in 7 months. When you write those goals down, although I do agree that they are very important to write down, your short-term goals, your mid-term goals, and your long-term goals, what I want you to focus on, as always, is your long-term goals, because it's easier for your brain to get around that, well, you know, anything could happen in 10 years. Might not even be here. So, did you ever think about that? No, I don't want you to think about that in this scenario, all right? You've got enough time to be negative for the rest of the day, and I know perfectly about that, because my whole life is just go, dude, people suck. But then as soon as I stop recording that stuff, I just go, you know, it's just... Isn't it nice that the Liberals at least fund the police force? I am really glad that I don't live in South Africa right now, where they're just going like, give me your kidneys now. So, what I want you to do is define the type of person that you want to be in 10 years from now. Can you do that for me? Get out a piece of paper right now. Stop looking at electronic things. I hate that. Put on your little inspirational music that you like from your video games. It just works, doesn't it? Actually, Mislav from the pod the other day, he started watching these videos, which is very troublesome because most of these videos I'm just making fun of him, but he was saying that he started watching them, and now he does that. He actually gets out when I tell him. He puts on Age of Empires 2. You know, the one that came in the Kellogg's box. And then he starts writing out whatever I'm telling him about because he sees the importance in it, and you can see it in him. He is. I have known this man when he had negative 37 cents in his bank account. Now, a lot of that is to do with the fact that he has a Greek girlfriend that's going, "You are so lazy," and forcing him to be a better person. But the other thing as well is that he started reading self-help, so he's becoming more motivating, and he's seeing the importance of time and the importance of cultivating the image of what you want for the future. That's what you have to get into. That's what I want you to do right now. Get out a piece of paper and write what type of person you want to be in 10 years from now. Just write that as the sentence. What do I want to be 10 years from now? What type of person do I want to be 10 years from now? We'll talk about external things in other videos. I want a bicycle and a pogo stick. You do that later. This is just about the type of person you are. Don't say neat. Instead, I want you to say, because I'm hoping that even when you're saying that needed is just, I don't have an education, you can educate yourself. Go to the library. Go to the library and get into the habit of reading an hour a day. You will be more educated than lawyers in no time, especially more educated than them, because they just sit there reading a really long pool list, just being like, no running, no jumping, no diving. I thought that would be jumping, but there's 2 rules. But very specific, yes, interesting. So, how childish is that? I'm more educated than a lawyer. But I do think that if you read broadly, you do become more educated. Everybody that I know that reads broadly becomes an entrepreneur. Did you know? So, write down the type of person that you want to be. I want you to think about it in terms of, do you want to be a funny person? Do you want to be a nice person? That's a start. It is a start to be a nice person. Do you want to be an empathetic person, caring person? Do you want to be a cunt? Please don't write that down. There's enough of those. But I think that Jordan Peterson put it best when he said that everybody in life is going to be either a mildly bad person unless they work on being a good person. And because there's so few good people, this is the little tip, because there's so few good people in the world, because it actually takes effort to be a good person. If you do become a good person, you're at a marked advantage from day one. This is what I'm always saying about CEOs. Yeah, they might be fucking up the world externally, but if you ever meet a CEO, they are the nicest, most considerate, empathetic people you will ever meet. It goes with a lot of billionaires as well, unless they were born into the opulence of it. But if they're self-made, you cannot imagine how much they're up for helping you. Same thing with dictators even. But the thing is, these are all impressive people if you meet them, and it's because... why did I use dictators? But the thing is that it's because they have turned... They have actually put in their head that they are somebody of great value, of great significance. And this is what's exciting about human beings. You are a great person. You are a person of significance. If, and here's the proviso, because this is the whole problem with Sesame Street, how it just goes, you're a good person, you're special. No. You're only good, you're only special if you tell yourself that you're good and special. If you keep drilling that into your mind, your brain will be looking for examples of how to be good, how to be special, how to be educated. It'll be looking for ways to separate you from everybody else. And it's very obvious listening to somebody's speaking pattern quickly, what they think of themselves and how impressive they are. This is why when most people on the net, you just see them writing the same bullshit things that they've just seen other people write, of the, come on, this is not it, cringe, all these dumb words. As soon as I see them, it makes me shudder, because you can tell that these people are unimpressive blobs. Don't be one of them. Don't use these shitty buzzwords that everybody else uses to describe themselves. Come up with your own unique definition of yourself. Because unique people are worth something to society, and unique people are attractive. Unique people are leaders. I'll see you next week. Make sure that you put questions in the comments and like the video. Please like the video. Please! I'm so desperate. That's what you should be doing. Getting your view of yourself from others. How worthy am I? Find out from the clicks.